Hey YouTube, Terry here, Introverted Games. Now if you've been following along, in our last 3 videos we hand sketched this cute character here, we painted him, we made animations, and in this video we're going to make a character controller to allow him to walk around the screen and explore the neat 2D world we're going to make. This is a pretty simple process and I'm going to walk you through it step by step. Now the first thing we're going to do is click on our player here, and you know what? I'm going to name this guy Bob. He looks like a Bob to me. What do you guys think? We're going to go player underscore Bob. And I'm doing that because I'm considering having a couple player characters. I'm not sure. It's in my mind. I'm working on it. We'll see how that goes. Alright. Now the first thing we're going to do is click Add Component. And we're going to look for the 2D rigid body. Now of course we're using the 2D rigid body because this is a 2D game, guys, not rocket science. I know you guys got this. You can do this. And you know what? I don't think... There it is. It's rigid body 2D, not 2D rigid body. Noob mistake. Alright, there we go. Now that we have that, we're going to make a couple settings on this guy because we don't want him to fall. It's more of a top-down almost game. It's an adventure. He's going to explore. So if we leave gravity turned on the rigid body, he's going to just fall, right? So we're going to set gravity scale to 0. And then we're going to go here to constraints, and we're going to freeze the rotation on the Z-axis. Now we want to do that because in the future, if we don't, and he gets hit by a player or by an enemy, he'll rotate like this, you see. And we just don't want him doing all that willy-nilly unscripted rotation. He's not a freelancer. He does what we say, right? Alright, so here we go. Now we're going to go into the scripts folder. We're going to make a new script, and we're going to call this player movement, I believe. Player movement. Oh, I spelt it wrong. If I could just type. There we go. Now it takes Unity a split second to compile that new script and add it into the registry. There it goes. And before it does that, you cannot put the script on your game object or Bob the player. So not Bob the builder, Bob the player. Alright, now we're going to drag player movement over here. Alright, we're going to double click on it to open it. Now I use VS Code. I'm not sure what you guys use. I much prefer VS Code. It's free. I think it's open source. I could be wrong, but I know it's free and it works just fantastically. Alright, now in this script we're going to need a few variables. Now I'm thinking we're going to need a speed variable. Now I'm going to do something fancy that maybe you guys haven't seen before, and I'm going to do what's called, oh look, hey, I pulled it up for me already. I'm going to do a serialized field. Now what that does is it allows you to edit that float variable in the inspector of the Unity engine so that you can adjust it without having to come back to your script and hard code it. Now if you work in a team and you have a game designer, you definitely want to put a lot of knobs for that game designer to twist and make the game the way it should be. And this is a great way to do that. Alright. Now on top of the editable speed float, we're going to make a reference to a private 2D rigid body. That's so that we can, have a reference and move it around. Now, a lot of folks call it RB. Now, to me, calling it RB, even though it is rigid body, I don't like to abbreviate, because what if I come back to my code, a month from now, and I totally forgot what RB means, right? Just for an example. So, because it's a private, I like to do an underscore. And that's just for me to know it's private, not public. And then I always call it like the name of the object, rigid body, right? And then on top of that, we're going to need a vector 2, because this is a 2D game. And we're going to call this move amount. And we're also going to make this one private. Alright, and so I'm going to use my naming conventions. Now, of course, you're going to have your own naming conventions you're going to use. And the most important thing is you don't have to name it how I name it. You just have to follow your own conventions. So if you decide that, whatever, you want to capitalize your locals or whatever you want to do, just stick with it and be consistent. And consistency is the key here. Okay, now I'm going to do what's called camel case, and I'm going to do move amount. Okay. Camel case is very common. Now, if you're not aware what camel case is, that's where the first word of your variable is lowercase, and then the next one is uppercase. You know, camel case. All right. Now, since that's done, we're going to go into the start function, and you see I've got GitHub Copilot, so it's auto typing stuff for me. It's fantastic. I recommend you use it. It saves you some time. Now, what we're doing here in the start function is we're assigning our private rigid body variable to the component that's already on the player. Now, because this script will be on the player and the player has a rigid body on them, we don't have to say drag it and assign it in the inspector. We can just tell our code to grab it directly from that game object because it's the same parent game object. All right, now we have a reference to the rigid body. We have our variables set up. Now we need to handle the input. So I'm going to make a private void, and I'm going to call it probably handle input. Now, camel case is used for variables, but when you're doing functions or declarations, you don't use camel case. I mean, you can, but generally you capitalize those. So I'm going to call this handle movement. Yep. Gosh, you gotta love GitHub Copilot. It just did all that for me, but I was about to tell you to do all of this. So I don't like to assign, say, float. A lot of people do that. I found that it's better to do var instead of float. So I'll do var movex equals input.getAxis raw horizontal instead of saying float. Off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly why it's better. And it may not even be better, but for me, I like to use var. So let me change that. All right. And I don't want to do it this way. So this is getting two independent variables. Well, this is fine. It pre-assigns the variable and then puts it here. So in the code I had pre-written for you guys, instead of having var movex equals input.getAxis raw horizontal, I actually put this whole part here into my vector2 over here. You can do it either way. So if you're not following along, instead of assigning movex to this right here, you could copy it. Come on, work with me. And you could put it the same thing just right here. In the code I prepared for you today, that's kind of what I had done. Okay, but you can just do it like this. That works fine. And then the normalize, I don't want to put here. I'm going to, well, okay, this works. It's just not the way I was going to do it. Hear me fumbling around. This code works fine. Thanks, GitHub. Ruining my whole video. Okay, now we're going to head on down and we're going to do a fixed update. Now this is super important, and as you can see, GitHub Copilot is stealing the flame again. Fixed update is super important because it runs every physics cycle, every physics loop. And since we're using the rigid body, we are doing a very simple physics-based 2D character controller. And if you see here, we have the script handle movement. I don't want to run that in fixed update. I actually want to calculate the movement in the normal update, okay? Because then we're actually calculating properly every frame. There we go. And then I want to handle actually moving in the fixed update. So we will go fixed update, boom, and we will put this. Should we put it down there? No. We'll just have this down there. Okay, there we go. Boom. Perfect. Oh, stop it. Yeah, there we go. Perfecto. Now you see we multiply this by time.fixed delta time. Now normally when you make a character controller and you watch a tutorial, they'll use fixed time, not they'll use time.delta time, not time.fixed delta time. And the reason we're using the fixed delta time is because we're in the fixed update. It's not the same as late update, guys, but it's fairly close. I prefer my code like that. Thank you very much, GitHub. Okay. Now that that's done, this makes it frame rate independent also, if you're not aware. So let's say I didn't put this times time dot delta time on the end right here. What would happen is if you played this game on, say, your grandma's computer, your character would move super slow, right? Because her old computer, she only checks email on that thing. It's from 1995 and it can't barely handle games, okay? And then when you play your game on your computer, which is probably just a supercomputer from NASA, right? It's going to run way faster, and your character is going to move so fast you can't even keep up with him. So it's very important to make your player frame rate independent, and that's what the time.fixed delta time does. So when you multiply our calculated position and move amount times a fixed delta time amount, it makes your character frame rate independent. Very important, guys. Now, one more thing I want to explain, this normalized right here. Now, you might see in a lot of code, they just have move amount equals new vector 2 with move x and move y times speed. And that's fine, it'll work. Okay, but what'll happen is, okay, if you just go up, down, left, or right, your character's going to move perfectly fine and normal. But there's a caveat, guys. If you push up and left, or down and left, or up and right, or down and right, because you want to move diagonal, well, now you're going to move twice as fast because you have more vectors, you have more inputs to work with. Okay, so when you do dot normalized, it normalizes all of that, so you'll move the same speed diagonal as well as normal. All right, now believe it or not, we're done. This is your whole character controller. Isn't that crazy? This will move your guy all around your world, and this is the basis to our game. This is the core. So we're going to save it. I like to hit Control S, and now we're going to test it. And it may fail because I'm not that great at this, guys. I'm just a hack. All right, let's hit play. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see what happens. Hurry up and compile. All right, and oh, I failed. It doesn't work. I see why. Okay, let me show you guys something important. So it's saying that I'm trying to read input using the old input class, but my game is set to use the new input system. Okay, I'm old school, and when I started making games, this is how we grabbed input. All you new guys, you grab it a different way, but don't fret. We can make a hybrid. You can do both in one project. So you go File, or Edit rather, Project Settings. All right, it opened in my other monitor. All right, then we go to Player. Okay, and let's scroll down here. Where's it at? Controls, controls. Right here, Active Input Handling. You'll see it says use the new package. What you do is you hit the drop down, and if you're really old school and you never want to use the new package, you can choose just the old manager. But I really suggest you don't do that, because let's just think about it here. If you buy a new asset off the asset store, it's probably going to use the new input system. So you're better off doing a hybrid right here. So you say both, and it says we must restart Unity. You say apply, okay, and save, and then Unity shuts down, and it should just reboot. There it goes. Good old Unity. We'll wait for this to happen. I might time lapse this for you because it takes a moment.
5 hours later.
Okay, guys, and what was an instant for you was about 5 minutes for me, waiting for this darn thing to start back up. The beautiful power of editing. So we'll close project settings. Now, if I'm wrong, flame me in the comments, but I believe if I press play, our character is going to be able to move around. Let's check it out. Come on now. And, oh yeah, look at that. Alright, he does move around, but see how that looks kind of off-putting? Now, I'm going to admit something, guys. I made a 3D game instead of a 2D game by mistake, because I wasn't thinking. It's not even a big deal, and it won't even affect anything. But if you do this by mistake, what you'll do is go to your camera. Where's it at here? You want to set a solid color for the rendering. if I can find it. Oh yeah, skybox. Change that to solid color, and it's blue on most, games. So there we go. And that should do it for you. There we go. That looks a lot more like a 2D game, doesn't it? You will notice that his idle animation is playing, and that's because he does have animation set up, just no transitions yet. That's going to be our next video, guys. So hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, do all that fancy stuff under the video, the thumbs up and the comment and all that garbage. I appreciate you guys. I love subscribers. I give brownie points for subscribers. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.